Good morning, good people. Today is Monday, January 5th, 2025. My name is Edward Bevilacqua. We are here at Department of Career Services, where our goal is to help our students and interested people on their journey through this life with a transcendent soul. And interesting thing that just happened. Had a wave and then disappear. So that must be the algorithm. Well, today is Monday. Today, our meme of today, our theme of today is I am my Connectome. I am my Connectome. First, I'm having a cup of everyday dose with a little shot of olive oil in there from my special high-tech cup. And yeah, here we are. Let's see, let's get this screen cleared up. And yes, we are Department of Career Services, where our goal is to help our students and interested people on their journey through this life. This is day 1 of week 2 in our neuroscience-oriented approach to success. The week 2 is called Inside My Skull-Sized Kingdom. This is so for the new people who don't know, this is a 4-week course for people in prison, designed for people in prison. In prison, you have a lot of time. So this is 4 weeks, 4 hours per day to go through this material. And if you've been in prison, you know, like, oh, good, I've got something to do for 4 hours. It'll take up 4 hours of my time. Gosh, thank you. Thank you. Because we don't really have opportunities to grow. Anyway, so week 1, overview and orientation. Who am I? Why do I behave the way I do? Week 2, inside my skull-sized kingdom. How does my brain work on a neuroscience level? We talk about neurons, neurotransmitters, reticular activating system, and other parts of the brain. All trying to answer the 2 questions, who am I and why do I behave the way I do? Next week, it is outside my skull-sized kingdom. That's where I notice there are other people who have motivations. They think the world revolves around them, but I know it revolves around me. However, I can't be successful without their help. So how do I get them to help me get money so that I can have a meaningful life where everything I do matters and it is in service to others? That's it. Okay. And like I said, today's theme is what? I am my Connectome. Right, Sebastian's song, I am my Connectome. And we should be saying, what? What does that mean? I am my Connectome. What? We'll find out. First, let's look at advice from an 80-year-old. Begin each day with some of your favorite music. Okay, why? Why should we do that? Well, if it's your favorite music, what is it going to do on a neuroscience level? It's going to be releasing certain angel's cocktail. Hopefully oxytocin, serotonin, maybe some dopamine. Nice melody, string instruments, some horns, not a lot of drums. The drums would be more dopamine. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. As opposed to serotonin, where you have this feeling of all's right in the world. The days in the morn, the days in the spring, the years in the spring, the days in the morn. Mornings at 7, the hillsides dew pearled. The lark's on the wing, the snail's on the thorn. God's in his heaven, all's right with the world. Right. Righto, old chap. Okay, so advice from an 80-year-old, and begin each day with music, your favorite music, some of your favorite music. Puts you in the right mood, right frame of mind, moving forward. Okay, Seth Godin, what you don't know. Are entrepreneurs professionals? Are entrepreneurs professionals? Or are they amateurs, would be the question, right? In professional fields like law, medicine, or accounting, it's expected that you've done the reading. A professional has seen what has come before, understands the best practices, and eagerly duplicates effective methods that have been shown to work. As our understanding of marketing, management, and tech has grown, there's been a rise in intentionally naive wannabe entrepreneurs who decide that energy and authenticity are far more important than knowledge. That didn't used to be a choice, now it is. Sure, someone is going to win the startup lottery, but it probably isn't going to be you. The good news is that there's a lot to learn, all from easily accessible sources. It's way less stressful to do it right than to do it over again. Yeah, right. That reminds me of something the Navy SEALs say. There's 2 ways to do things: the right way and again. Mm-hmm. The right way and again. There's 2 ways to do things: the right way and again. Okay, I'll deal with that later. All right, so that's Seth Godin for us. Let's see if we have what else we have on our worksheet for today. Let's see. Darren Hardy. Oh, yeah, that's becoming irrelevant. Do not become irrelevant. You don't want people to feel about you, oh, he's just in the room. He doesn't have anything valuable to say. Once you lose that, power perceived is power achieved. If people think you have power, you do. If they don't think you have power, you don't. Okay, let's move on. Okay, the show is being recorded on Thursday. So this is Monday. So we've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 days until the event. School starts also on Thursday evening. So Thursday's a big day. Today is the day to help deliver food to people in need, people who need it. Right. Yeah. And then we have a lunch at the senior center. Ba-boom-ba. Righto. So there we go. All right, let's talk about I am my Connectome. Let's talk about that because it is crucial. What is a connectome? A connectome is a number. It's the number of neurons times the number of connections per neurons. So, and Sebastian Song, who was he at Princeton? Anyway, in his lab, they were counting neurons in brains, and they were mapping brains to see how many neurons each neuron touched. Then the organism they were doing it with, the animal they were doing it with, was a worm, the worm C. elegans. Had all of the neurons in its brain mapped. So it has 300 neurons, and there's an average of 23.333 connections per neuron. So the connectome of the worm C. elegans is 7,000. Now, compare and contrast that to humans. So humans have about 86 billion neurons, and each neuron has about 10,000 connections. That's a big number. 86 billion times 1,000 would be 86 trillion, about 860 trillion connections. What? Yeah. So a lot of processing power. In fact, what is said of the brain is it's the most complicated thing in the universe other than the universe. And we mostly don't know about the brain. We know a lot about the brain on some simple basic levels, but most of the stuff about the brain we still do not know. We cannot duplicate it. We cannot create a brain. We're really not good at reconditioning brains or shaping brains. We're not really that good at it. How do we know? Because we still have a lot of people that go to jail and prison and break the law and hurt other people. So if we are good at programming people's brains, we would not do that type of behavior. Which segue, ultimately, so now in school, if this was G school, if I was at my graduate program in pastoral ministry, it would be my fundamental belief is we need to get people back into churches. Why? Because if they're back into churches, they're going to be doing good things to other people, to and with other people. So it would be important to get people back into churches. However, in the last 2 days, begin to think and to re-examine what is a church. Does it mean you have to go to buildings and be in physical contact with the people? Or what if you're there and you don't have physical contact with a lot of people, but you see a lot of people, you experience a lot of people in the same thing, doing this, experiencing the same thing you are? And then if we connect that just a little bit further and say, well, what if you're experiencing, large numbers of people are experiencing the same thing at the same time, but they're not in the same location? What impact does that have? Okay, so that is the question. And so today we're looking at our connectome. The connectome, again, is neurons times connections. Humans have about 86 billion times 10,000. Big, big, big number. What is in our connectome? What's in these neurons? Well, what's stored in the chains, the connections, it's not like there's something stored in this neuron, but the combination of neurons is our lived past. One thing, lived past, what we would call memories, our lived past, our anticipated future, our ability to simulate, personality, all of those things are stored in our brain. How do we know? How do we know they're stored in our brain, not in our heart? Well, the simple thing would be if you do a heart transplant, you don't change who you are. You might change your outlook on life of how you're going to behave from now on. A near-death experience, you might change that. Aha! What Not a Bevy has joined the room. She's in our church where two or more gathered. Amen. Om. Shalom. Shalom. Siskumba. Tukankari. How is things out there in Fort Jacksonville, Florida? How are things? And have you spoken to Edward? Okay. Anyway, Connectome. Let's focus on Connectome. So how do we know it's in our brain? Well, one thing is, if you get a heart transplant, you don't change your fundamental memory. You don't change your live past, you don't change. That stuff doesn't change. Who you are doesn't change. How you act might change tremendously. In fact, it probably should if you had a heart transplant. But what happens if you damage your brain? Dr. Amen from last Monday, right? I know it was a long time ago. It was a week ago. Dr. Amen, what happens? What happens if you damage your brain? Right. Those things go away. You start forgetting who you are, what's important, why you do things, etc. And got it. So all of those things are stored in our brain, in our connectome. What we now have to do on a physical side is keep our brain in good shape. And more and more research is coming all of the time, every day, on the importance of sleep. The single most important thing we can do is get adequate sleep, which has been an issue for me over the years because I've conditioned myself to try to operate on less than 6 hours sleep per day. So now I find I got to get up to now. I need to have 8 hours sleep per day. What? Yeah, or 7 at least. So that's a challenge. True. Okay. I want to put on the news out there for the news just for posterity, driving a stake into the ground. What was it? Early Saturday morning, the President of the United States ordered the arrest of the President of Venezuela and his wife. They were taken into custody in a large military operation, something like Ultimate Resolve or something like that, Operation Ultimate Resolve, and we'll see how it plays out. And of course, international players who are not for the U.S. take the position the U.S. doesn't have the right to do that. And of course, claiming international law. But what is international law? If international law is just countries agreeing to do certain things, there's what are the consequences is if you don't do it. And if you have the Lilliputians telling Gulliver he has to obey their laws because they've all agreed these are the laws, does Gulliver actually have to obey the Lilliputian laws? Or is it the case of might makes right, the law of the consequent? As the tough kid on the block. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. If you don't like it, stop me. Sort of the Roman way. Right? Okay, so anyway, we'll see how that unfolds and whether the U.S., I think President Trump is hoping that the vice president will cooperate with us, but saying if she doesn't, it's not going to be good for her. What if Venezuela becomes like Puerto Rico, where we go in and say, sort of as Hitler did, we're just helping the people out. We're getting rid of an oppressive government. These people deserve a better life. Okay, so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. What not a bevy? What are you doing now? Are you on your way to escuela? Escuela? Work? What's happening? And I will, it's time to sign out. We're 3 seconds over. Time is of importance.